My name is Bert Myers, and I am with the Department of Environmental Protection. How many have heard of DEP? I'm going to give you a quick lesson here. Pennsylvania is a unique state. Most states, there is one natural resource agency, usually called Department of Natural Resources or Department of Environmental Resources, something like that. Pennsylvania, we have four. So first you have Department of Environmental Protection. We're the regulatory agency. That means that we enforce the laws that your legislature passes. So if it passes law in the Harrisburg Capitol building by your state senators and congressmen, we enforce those rules. And it's designed to protect our natural resources: water, air, land itself. Then we have Department of Conservation and Natural Resources, DCNR. Who has been to a state park before? You were in one this morning. Yeah. And that is DCNR. They manage 162 state parks and over 2 million acres of state forest land. That is public land, is our land. Okay, then you have the Pennsylvania Game Commission. The Game Commission, their responsibility is to manage and protect the wild birds and mammals and their habitat in Pennsylvania. And that leaves one more. Often I have adults say to me, I'm going to call the Fish and Game Department. Oh, really? There's two, okay? The Game Commission's one. The other one is the Pennsylvania Fish and Boat Commission. And they protect all fish, amphibians, reptiles known as herps, their habitats, and they also provide the boat safety and boat regulation enforcement. So there's four. And I know some of you might get a little small for that, but you should understand there are four different agencies in Pennsylvania. Now I'm here with a bit of a stretch to talk about wetland wildlife, and specifically wetland mammals that you can find in Pennsylvania. So before I go any further, when you say the word wetland, for example, you're talking about a habitat. And there's four things that all wildlife need to find in their habitat. What are they? You need them too. Give me one. Gotta have food. What else?
Water.
Gotta have water. How about clean water? What else? Two more things. Shelter. You bet. Okay. And the last one? Not quite. Let me ask you a question. When you get put together in a room with a bunch of other kids, and it's a really small room and there's a lot of kids, and you're all jammed together, do you like that? Nobody likes that. What do we call it?
Space.
Space. Food, water, shelter, space. They have to have that in every arrangement. So all of these mammals I'm going to share with you are from Pennsylvania, but we should also understand what makes an animal an animal. There are four things that you woke up this morning, pretty sure you were a mammal. When you go to bed tonight, those four characteristics you will still share with every mammal on the planet. What are they? Give me one. Fur or hair? What's another good one? Live young. Have you ever seen a mammal lay an egg? Well, my mother one time, but that's a different story. No, all kidding aside, all the mammals in Pennsylvania reproduce with live birth. Okay, so we've got hair, fur, live birth. One has to do with body temperature. What would that be? Body temperature. All mammals are what? Warm-blooded. And there's one more. You know this. When you were a baby, what did you drink? And it wasn't Gatorade. What was it? Milk. So the mother provides milk to the young. Now we've got an understanding of what habitat it is, an understanding of what makes an animal a mammal. So now we're talking about mammals that live in or around water in Pennsylvania today. And I start with one because it's the easiest. Right there. Straight tail, black mask. What could it be? Raise your hand. I know everybody knows this. I should see a lot more hands. What is this? Say it loud.
Raccoon.
Perfect. Now the raccoon's a lot like most people, like me, it eats meat and it eats plants. What do you call an animal that eats both plant material and meat? What are they?
Deer.
No, deer just eat plants. But I'm talking about a group of animals that eat both plants and meat.
Omnivores.
They are omnivores. That is correct. So the raccoon, how many see them? They're common. Okay? They are in our neighborhoods. They are in our campgrounds. They are in our communities. They are part of the community. But you need to be careful in camping situations. Okay? I've done a lot of camping with my family, and before I go to bed, I make sure my garbage is put away and my food is secure. Because if I don't, you're going to have visitors in the middle of the night. Who would like to have raccoons close to your tent at 3 a.m.? I don't. Now, I want you to think about this too. Raccoons being common, they are found near water. And what they'll do is when they catch something prey that they're going to eat, okay, let's say something that looks like a small lobster you'll find in your creek. What is that? Small lobster lives in your creek. Crayfish. They love crayfish. And it looks like they wash their food before they eat it. But science tells us now that it's actually a way to identify their food. So instead of eating a rock, or trying to, they can feel it even in the dark of night and know that they got the prey, the crayfish that they eat. This is the only omnivore in today's group. The only one. Now we'll go to something a little more challenging. Here it is. This is a member of the rodent family. Harrison, tell us what this is. Nope, you can feel it. It's really soft. Careful, he moves. Feels this. What do you think it is, young man? Nope, too fat. Weasel's not a rodent either. Nope. Otter is also wrong family, and it is a carnivore. What is it, young man? You've been on a roll so far. How about a muskrat? A muskrat is a pretty common rodent. You can feel it. I won't move my hand. Not this time. It's very soft. And I didn't forget anybody. You definitely want to check this out. Muskrats live in your pond. They live on the edge of this mighty river. They are fairly common, but it seems that their population is on the decline. And biologists believe the main reason is water quality. Clean water is better for us, and it's better for wildlife. So the muskrat, though you may not see them, but I'll tell you, when you're out near water, there's 2 times a day you're really looking for mammals like this. What time of day do you think that is? No, just the opposite. Early in the morning, or when it's getting dark. A lot of these mammals are what we refer to as nocturnal. What does that mean? What's it mean, nocturnal? Everybody knows that one, right? What's it mean? Would you like to be nocturnal? Good. Mom appreciates that too. That's funny. Okay, so to prove that it is an herbivore, all you have to do is look at its skull. Those front 2 incisors, those front 2 teeth, that's for plant material. If you look at their molars, you'll notice that they're very flat. Those are designed, those are an adaptation to allow them to effectively chew plant material. So these are the cutters on the front, and those are the chewers in the back. You got a question?
Beaver.
Nope, this is still a muskrat. you see the incisors in front, kind of orange. You look at the back, you've got those flat molars. I'll show it to everybody. Make sure you get a chance to see this. There you go. They're definitely fun. Okay. Now we're getting bigger. This is the largest rodent in Pennsylvania. Now, when I say the word rodent, I'm talking about a family of mammals that you should be very familiar with. So what are other members of the rodent family that you know about? Come on, they're going to have big front teeth in the front. They run around your lawn, and they catch acorns, and they are squirrels is a rodent. Rats are rodents. What else? Mice are. Groundhogs are. There is a lot of rodents. This is the largest mammal family on Earth, are rodents. What did you want to add?
Groundhog.
Oh, groundhog, woodchuck, whistle pig, guess what? It's all the same critter. Okay? But the largest rodent in Pennsylvania, you should know this one, especially after downstairs. What is this?
A beaver.
It is a beaver. Now, I'm going to bring this around so you can feel the fur. But what I want you to notice, this has an adaptation too. It has two types, two layers in its fur. Be the long hairs on the outside, but if you get down into it and you rub it the other way, you see it has a whole other layer underneath. Check that out. See that? It's pretty cool. Look at the layer underneath. Layer keeps them warm. Beavers are active year-round. Even when the creek is frozen, if they build a dam, they're inside that den, and they will leave the den to feed. It's a beaver. So, a beaver in Pennsylvania, generally they're about 30 pounds to maybe 45 pounds full grown. The males are bigger than the females. But I have a person I used to work with that caught a beaver, trapped it. In Berks County at the landfill, it was 54 pounds. That is a very large rodent. Now, they also are one of the few animals besides people that can change habitat. They can take a farmer's field and turn it into a wetland, into a marsh. Now, if that farmer's planting soybeans there, do you think he wants his soybeans underwater? No. One of the things that we deal with every day, you may not think about it, is the conflict, the challenge between humans and wildlife. And sometimes our paths interconnect. And that's some areas where beavers will be a problem, where they flood an area that they can't. I can tell you about, I worked at a state park at one point, and beavers don't always build a dam. They don't always build a lodge. Some are known as bank beavers, and they will excavate a hole. They will dig a hole in the side of the stream and use that as their shelter. But we had bank beavers at this park that had a big lake. And they took all the sticks and everything they cut down and put it in the pipe that sent all the water into the lake. That was a problem. But we were able to move that beaver, and who knows how long it lived. But I'll tell you what, that pile of sticks over there looks an awful lot like a beaver lodge. And they can get really big. On a waterway like this, they are not going to build a dam across the Susquehanna River. That would take forever. What they will is those streams that are feeding the river, that's where they will build a lodge and build their dam. So beavers are really neat. They have also a really cool adaptation. You saw it downstairs, their tail. They use that tail for two things. Do you know what they are? Give me one.
To warn other beavers that there's a danger.
Give me some. Somebody's been working with this young man. Yes, they use it as an alarm call. When they go and feel threatened and they're on water, they will slap the surface of the water and dive. And at the bottom of that dive is where they're safe because they can go into their lodge. Okay? What's the other thing they use it for? This is really simple. What is it? Not really as a tool, as a swimming. Okay, so they cut the trees down with their teeth. Okay? They don't use their tail. And if you get too close to the beaver, their defense thing is they're not going to whack you with their tail. They're more likely to try and bite you, to be honest with you. But they are also, as a rodent, they are at the top as far as size in our state, and they are also herbivores. They eat just plants. So I've got 2 left. First one, I don't think you're going to know. A lot more common than people think they are. You got a creek near your house, stream, little waterway, I suspect these are there. I used to see these a lot when I was in the field. What is it? Too small for an otter. Right family, wrong critter. What do you think it is? Feel it, it's very soft. Begins with an M. It ends with a K. It can't be a meerkat. What is it? It's a mink. And I'm telling you folks, it's a lot more common than you think. They are a member of the weasel family, or in scientific terms, the mustelid family. And as mustelids, they are predators. If you're a predator, what does that mean? What do you mean? They are meat eaters. They hunt for small mammals. They'll eat things like crayfish, but they also eat birds, amphibians, frogs. And I'm telling you, they are more common. I'll tell you a funny story. Who goes camping? Anyone ever go camping? So I'm working at a state park, and this camper comes up to me late at night and says, I have a river otter in my campsite. And I'm like, really? Because at the time, river otters were pretty rare. So we go walking up to the campsite, and what do I find? I find a mink. And I said, ma'am, that is a mink. She goes, how do you know it's not a baby otter? Because that's what I do for my living, okay? Trust me on this one. So, would you make that mistake? Mink? And what is this? This is a river otter. Is it a little bit bigger than the mink?
Yes.
It's a lot bigger.
Yes.
But it also has some of the coolest fur that you will ever touch. It is super thick. They are active year-round. They were actually 40 years ago in big trouble in Pennsylvania. Biologists felt the biggest issue was pollution, specific water pollution. They eat fish. If you have a polluted river and no fish live there, can otters live there? No. No. Food, water, shelter, space. They've got to have it. Now, I want you to touch this today, because if you ever see an otter in the wild and say you're camping, don't try and go up and pet it. It's not like TV. They are fierce. They are very fierce. And they have, I wish I had their skull. I don't have it. But it is all teeth. Trust me on that. So now, in the last 20 years especially, our water quality is getting better. That's not to say we don't have a long way to go, because we do. Pennsylvania, we had a few things in our past, especially up in this area, that has really hurt our water quality. One of them is mining. And these old coal mines, a lot of them still leak what's called A&D. That's acid mine drainage. That doesn't even sound good, does it? When that gets into our waterways, it is not good for wildlife. So one of the jobs DEP does is we try and develop programs to remediate, to correct that damaged water system. Sometimes it's used for simple things like a limestone filter. Sometimes it has to be more involved in that. But in the end, we end up with cleaner water, which benefits us, but also benefits wildlife. So the other interesting thing about the otter is that I've been amazed how much ground they can cover. When they were reintroducing otters, that was the Game Commission, this was about 30 years ago. They had put one down near, if you know anything about Route 30, there's York and Lancaster counties right next to each other across this river. In fact, the river where I'm talking about down there is a lot wider than this. And so they placed that otter in that area in lower Susquehanna. 2 years later, it was found in another study, because it had been banded, and it was north of Harrisburg. About 70 miles it traveled by itself, by the waterway, to where it was found again. And that's true of wildlife too. They will move, okay? If you ever see an otter in Pennsylvania, you want to consider yourself lucky, because they are not super common. So, the point I'm trying to make today is that a clean and healthy environment for people benefits wildlife as well. And it also includes these 5 mammals that I reviewed with you. So what are the 5 mammals I talked about you're going to find near water in Pennsylvania? Let's start with the easy one. Black mass, striped tail. What is it? First one I shared with you. What is it?
Raccoon.
The raccoon. Number 2, it would be the smaller of the 2 rodents, lives in ponds, and it's a herbivore. That would be the muskrat. Very good. Then we got really big with the rodent family. We went to that one that built a dam and a lodge. What is it, Harrison? The beaver. And then the last 2, the predators of the group, the top of the food chain. The smaller one is called a what? Begins with an M, ends with a K. Do you remember? The mink. Because she got absolutely no assistance on that answer. Thanks, Dad. And the last one that I talked about, the one that I said you probably don't want to try and pet. What is it? River otter. So, I hope you enjoyed my profile of these wetland mammals today. If you have any questions for me, I'd be happy to answer them.